So, we just watched a thing that somebody decided to call a movie called The Lawnmower Man.
The Lawnmower Man is a 1992 American science fiction and action horror film directed and written by Brett Leonard. In this movie, Pierce Brosnan plays Dr. Lawrence Angelo, a scientist working really hard on inventing a real-life give-up machine, or as it's commonly referred to, virtual reality. To finish his work, Angelo enlists the help of Job Smith, a simple-minded day laborer that mows the lawn for his hot neighbor. Angelo experiments on Job using sensory deprivation and LSD in an effort to try and make Job smarter. Angelo trains Job's brain using virtual reality video games, and the unexpected result is one crazy, wacky adventure. One of the best superhero movie origin stories I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty great. Started off with a Planet of the Apes style monkey escape attempt.
With some dream imprinting.
Yeah, with like Batman versus Superman style it's a dream sequence also. Surprise.
Then it started slipping sort of into Tron.
Well, that's way down.
Well, sort of the whole thing. It slips into it and then
well, somewhat. Here's the thing.
Further into it as it goes.
Someone saw Tron.
Mm-hmm.
And thought that'd be a real good idea to put into this Stephen King book. And
well, the movie itself came out in '92, so maybe they also caught themselves like an early version of The Matrix.
Didn't that come out in '99?
That's what I'm saying. They caught themselves like an early version of the script or something.
Yeah, and they're just like, we're gonna beat these Wachowski brothers to the punch with their big movie that no one thought would.
We should probably state The Lawnmower Man is about a simple person who mows lawns, who is talked into becoming smarter through video games by Pierce Brosnan.
After his monkey dies.
After Pierce Brosnan's monkey dies. Because he's using virtual reality to make people smarter.
Which, you know...
For the government, to make
cool.
super soldiers.
So Simple Jack, right,
Mm-hmm.
as he is basically is, has kind of a rough life. They set it up, he lives in like a shed where he fixes lawnmowers for his boss, who I guess is like a friend of the church or something like that he's at. The past,
old Irish man.
Yeah, the leprechaun. He's the most stereotypical Irish person ever in a movie that I could ever think of. Like he's set up as like has like a horrible life. He's getting abused by the priest. By the priest who's a guardian. Yeah, the father who's his like legal guardian, I assume.
And enjoys beating him and rubbing his shoulders.
Sensually, yeah.
So nothing out of the ordinary for the Catholic Church.
Seems normal, right? Everything seems quite in line.
Let's just say things start to go a little crazy after that.
Well, So the guy's mowing the lawn, right? It sets up that he mows lawns, and he mows lawns for like all the people in this neighborhood. One of whom is this hot, rich lady widower.
Mm-hmm.
Another is like this little boy who has like an abusive family, which they don't really set up, except for they just
that his father's abusive.
Yeah. And Pierce Brosnan, whose girlfriend is in the movie for 10 seconds, just so we know.
Long enough to say
Pierce Brosnan's not gay. That's
and also long enough to, as with every early '90s movie, to establish that video games are bad.
Also, yeah. You're spending all your time on this machine. I wanted to go into the city today.
So she leaves.
So she takes off. She can't handle it. And then Pierce Brosnan, distraught over the loss of his monkey, who went out like a boss, by the way. Like,
yeah. 6-shooter and all.
Yeah. Fucking pulled a 6-shooter. It was basically Metal Gear. Which this whole movie is basically about Metal Gear. because they create psychic monkeys in a lab, and then they gets killed, and then Pierce Brosnan's like, what am I gonna do? We don't have a monkey anymore. I'm gonna just test it on this retarded kid.
Trust me, I'm very good at this.
And then he's like, oh, well, he's getting a little bit smarter. Why not inject him with the brain steroids?
Well, and then the government gets involved.
Well, the government's always involved.
Well, no, the government really gets
involved, right?
Because that's when the government swaps the serums.
Yeah, the government doesn't swap the serums until, like, later, though. Like, he gets, like, regular smart and then starts to show signs.
And then the government steps in, like usual, decides to ruin it by swapping the serums.
Government bad. Video games good. Maybe? Kind of?
Maybe. When we can use it for war, good.
There's like all kinds of like Gulf War stuff all over the TV in the first like scene of the movie. Is just
apparently it's the only thing on TV. 3 o'clock in the morning.
Apparently at 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter what channel you go to, there's just Gulf War footage. But I mean, you know, that's what they were going for. There's so much war on TV. Mm-hmm. There's so much war everywhere. And even the chimp is like doing a first-person shoot in the dream sequence. The chimpanzee or whatever is doing
fighting big digital gorillas.
Yeah, big first-person shooters. Then we move from like, let's say Trials A to Trials B, which I like even before they switched the trials to like the next level or whatever. They gave him like all the superpowers. He was already being able to read minds. Mm-hmm. And they kind of set it up like Pierce Brosnan's like, how could you give him the next trials? Because they kind of sneak it in under Pierce Brosnan's nose.
And they don't tell him they're doing it.
They don't tell him they're doing it, even though like Pierce Brosnan should probably be the smartest person that works there, I'd imagine. And he should probably be like, oh yeah, they switched my vials. So once they switch the serum, he goes nuts, right? And when Pierce Brosnan flies away on a business trip to justify his spending or whatever, the Simple Jack sneaks into the lab, steals all the serum, and injects it all at once. While they continue to use the exact same shot of him injecting himself in the neck over and over. They just recycle the same footage, just.
If you've ever seen The Room, this movie was done a lot in the same ways.
Like overuse
the same
graphics
shot being used over and over. The dialogue, atrocious at times. And there is an unnecessary amount of long, drawn-out, terrible sex scenes. Just keep rolling.
Oh my god, the fight scenes in this movie are ridiculous. Like, he gets it, the first, like, kind of, like, altercation that he has is with, like, his supervisor at the lab or whatever, the bald guy.
They're here to pick me up as well, right, Timms?
You can't leave! You're integral to the project! Oh, shit!
The first bald guy number one.
Yes.
Yeah. Bald guy supervisor number one. And like the supervisor grabs him and he's just like hit sound effect. And then punch sound effect.
And then he falls over and knocks over as much stuff as he can on the way down.
And then Pierce tries to escape, right? And then he's stopped by like a secret agent guy with a gun. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll go with you. But then a waiter walks through with like one of those stereotypical like ice buckets filled with like a thing of champagne. And Pierce, being the smart James Bond gentleman that he is, grabs it and whacks him in the side, breaks it over the side of this guy's neck. Which, if you've ever hit anybody with a wine bottle, they do not break like that. Mm-mm. It would have been like, thunk. That would have been a more real, but that would have been even more wacky on top of everything else. So.
That guy's dead.
Simple Jack has discovered that he can turn people into Mentos. Like giant swirling piles of Mentos.
Or sixlets.
Yeah.
Floating sixlets.
And that's that's an interesting power. He can also like light people on fire with his mind, which was a pretty weird scene, especially since like all the other effects outside to that point had been like pretty practical. That and the Mentos just kind of like stuck out as like, well, like you don't.
Well, outside of everything that takes place in the digital world,
outside of everything
which is
that takes
pure 90s.
Yeah, which is just like, whoa. Can we talk about the CGI in this movie?
Do you want to talk about the CGI sex scene?
Oh, I forgot about the CGI sex scene. By the way, there's 2 sex scenes in this movie, and they're both CGI.
The melding of the minds, where they turn into a dragonfly?
They turn into like a 2-person dragonfly, and then kind of like fly off, but like it fries the hot rich lady's brain. The first scene was just as CGI, even though it was in the real world. It was like the most forced, most awkward sex scene I think I've ever seen in anything. That I can think of, anyway. I'm sure there's worse, but... Can you think of anything? Yeah. It's just like... And this movie's rated R, so they had to put boobs in it to make sure that like it justified the R rating, but they're not like boobs. They're just like corner of a boob. Corner of a boob in the sex scene. It almost looks like it wasn't on purpose. Like, oh crap! The director's like,
her arm moved.
Oh crap! Her boob got in the shot.
We're rated R now.
We're rated R. Start cussing in all the scenes. Pierce Brosnan confronts Simple Jack in his creepy BDSM VR porn basement dungeon, and says like, "Hey man, you killed like 2 people." Oh yeah, I guess I forgot. We should probably mention that Simple Jack goes on a killing spree.
Yes, he goes around everybody who was ever mean to him.
Yeah, while Pierce is in Washington, he goes on a killing spree because he took all the stuff.
Everybody who was mean to him, he goes around and kills them.
Yeah.
And then goes back to the labs because his master plan is to download himself to the internet, spread himself across the world, and then make every phone on the planet ring at the same time.
I'm gonna make them all.
They're all gonna answer their phones and no one's gonna be there. I'm gonna ask them if their refrigerator's running.
Real quick, I have to talk about Pierce Brosnan's getting mind-controlled face while he's in the dungeon confronting Jack. The shake the glasses off my face. Pierce was acting the shit out of this movie, by the way. He was legitimately.
He was the only actor there.
He was trying really, really hard. And then once he gets back to the mainframe, he breaks in with a giant swarm of bees, like just CGI bees,
golden bee sixlets.
Yeah.
Bubbles. Things.
And kills all the guards, so there's nothing else. And then Pierce Brosnan has to run in and
gets bombs.
Oh yeah, there's just bombs in the CIA van,
just chilling,
enough to blow up an entire building, just sitting there.
So he takes the bombs, plants them throughout the building.
Yeah, it takes bombs and the gun.
Then goes to confront Simple Jack.
And then he's like, at this point, Jack has turned himself into the Matrix, right?
He's completely digital
in the Trunks. Yeah.
And he has no more control over the physical world, which Pierce Brosnan points out.
Yeah.
And then stays in the digital world for some reason.
There's no reason for him to be there. No. I think what the movie was trying to convey is that like Pierce is like, there's good in him. I can feel it. There's got to be a redemption. And then in the end, the only thing that redeems Simple Jack is the kid runs into the building with all the explosives.
He lets Pierce Brosnan go save the kid.
He's like, I care about that kid. I gave him comic books. So cool. So they run out, and a split second before the bombs go off, Jack finds an out to get into the internet, and so he escapes, leaving room for sequels,
which
there are 2 of.
Will never be watched.
Aw, come on.
I don't think I have the willpower for that.
Please, Ethan. Please.
Even Candy's scared of the idea. It's time for our ratings.
10 out of 10 for effort, I would say, from somebody.
Good effort. Considering it was 1992, the digital graphics were alright.
I suppose. Watching it today, though, because that's what this is like.
Today.
Today.
Absolutely terrible.
How many lawnmowers would you give it out of 5?
I would give it 1.5 lawnmower blade crucifixes.
Oh my god!
Out of 5.
Oh, I forgot about the lawnmower blade crucifix.
It's a real thing.
I'm going to give this movie 2 shirtless Pierce Brosnans out of 5. I think it was at least a 2 out of 5, just for the it's so bad it's good value. Mm-hmm. That's it. If you're watching this to actually enjoy it, don't it's awful.
You're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time. It's not gonna make you happy.
No happiness to be found.
That's our review of The Lawnmower Man. Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man, the motion picture. Subscribe. Tell us what you thought of The Lawnmower Man. I'm sure you all loved it, and we ruined your childhood by reviewing it. What's a funny thing that I can rate it with from the movie? I was gonna just give it lawnmowers, but you upped me with a lawnmower blade crucible. I'm gonna give
rate it with shirtless.
Pierce Brosnan's. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Shirtless Brosnan's.
I'm gonna give this movie.
Back to you, Jeremiah.
I'm gonna give it movie magic.